Hey guys, it's Miyagi Joe, back again with another video, and today is a very special video because, as you guys can see, I'm suited up in my iconic favorite superhero costume, and we are going to talk about the Arrowverse, because today is the 10-year anniversary for the Arrowverse, and so as you can see, I'm dressed like my favorite character in the Arrowverse, Oliver Jonas Queen, aka the Green Arrow. And so I'm dressed up as the Green Arrow. This is my first time I've worn this costume since I've actually been fully committed to doing martial arts and gotten really cool at the techniques, so I can show lots of cool martial arts moves. In this suit, I can do lots of cool things. Like, look, I can kick pretty sweet. I can go for the sick punch. It looks pretty awesome, right? You're probably like, how does he do it with the hood on? But, you know, I'm just that badass, so I'm the Green Arrow. If you don't subscribe to this channel, you have failed this city. So, or wherever you live, you know. But I had to do it because this is an iconic moment for... Sorry, mask was getting an eye for a second. But, guys, yeah, we're talking about the Arrowverse today. So, the Arrowverse... Hold up, guys. I'm going to just take the hood off for a second because it's better when you guys can see my face. I think we're going to do the rest of this sitting down just because it looks a bit better. Sorry. So guys, okay, the camera's being wonky, but we're back to good things now. So guys, we're going to talk about the Arrowverse. So the Arrowverse is awesome. We're going to talk about, so today's the 10-year anniversary. We're going to talk about the future of the Arrowverse. We're going to talk about the past, the present, all the Arrowverse has to offer here. You know, it's just, we're going to talk about it all. It's going to be sick. So, without further ado, let's talk about each show and talk about what we're getting here. So, first of all, let me sometimes the hood slips a little bit, but it looks good, I think, where it's at now. So, let's talk about the show that started it out all. Let me grab my drink. We're talking about Arrow. Okay, so Arrow started this entire thing when it first came out, and I think it came out 2011, if I remember correctly. So, no, it was 2012. It was after Smallville ended. So Smallville ended, and, you know, we had Justin Hartley's Green Arrow, and, you know, it started this whole thing. And we didn't look at this show about this Archer as that it was going to spawn an entire universe of shows. We just saw that this is going to be an intriguing... Green Arrow is my favorite comic book character, and we saw the opportunity to get to actually see what was going on with him, what was his life going to be like? Because when we saw the Justin Hartley version of the character, we didn't really know what we were getting. It just was unclear. So then, when we got to the show, everyone was blown away because the show was good. It was a dark and grittier take on the character. It gave us so many good vibes. You had super badass moments. It was badass, guys. It was so cool. He was just this character that was just similar to Batman, but a Batman who kills. He was Batman with a green arrow. He was with the green suit and a bow and arrow, and he was kicking ass and taking names, and it was awesome. And he really just drove that home, and you felt the special connection to the character. And each of the seasons gave us unique moments and things that we didn't expect. That was fantastic. So let's talk about each of the seasons of Arrow, and then we'll talk about the villains and the story and all that stuff. So, season 1 of the show, we had great moments. The finale with Merlin and Oliver was great. Setting up this killer vigilante was just perfect. It just made everything feel great, and you just got the vibe that everything felt amazing. And I loved it. I loved getting to see that. I loved the idea of what we got with it. I thought it was brilliant. And we're not going to really touch on them in there, but one of the best things about the Arrowverse was how they did crossovers across all the different shows. Like the MCU's one big crossover now, whenever they do their Avengers movies. Or even just little things in their shows, like characters showing up, like Daredevil on She-Hulk. But the Arrowverse was doing that every year. It wasn't just like, oh, we're doing this time. No, they were doing it every year, and it was awesome. They were truly showing the epicness of it and making it feel great and grander scale and bigger threats, bigger bad guys. And it was just so cool. But Arrow, you know, was a more grounded show. And before that universe started, we got to talk about each of these seasons and what they meant. So the first season, we established him as a killer. And then by the end of the season, when he saw his best friend die, it changed him. He realized he could be a better hero, and he needed to start changing his methods as a hero. So the city was lost through the undertaking. Stephen Amell carried this show through and through, and he was amazing. I remember when I met him at Heroes and Villains before Arrow ended. It was one of my favorite moments ever, and so I have a special connection to this character, not just the actor, but the character. And I think one thing we gotta say before we get into the talk about all the other seasons, if you guys don't put Stephen Amell's Green Arrow right up there with Chris Evans' Captain America and Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, this dude was the GOAT. This dude was iconic. He carried an entire universe on his back, similar to how Tony Stark did. And Stephen Amell delivered that great. Felicity, even though she had her annoying moments, was great. How the show used their Black Canary characters was great, for the most part. There were some missteps, but it was pretty interesting, and I liked it. Season 1 had great action. The choreography, just when he was a cold-blooded killer, was quite good. I loved how he started as the Hood. That whole concept was great, how the cops were calling him the Hood, how he was becoming a threat, and giving Robin Hood vibes, and different villains like Count Vertigo were showing up, and Merlin the Dark Archer, and that was really cool. So I really liked that. I thought that was really cool and made the show feel special. And then, going into Season 2, we fought Deathstroke. Deathstroke was a great threat. The way that the flashbacks paid into the season made their showdowns more intense. Oliver was trying not to kill, so they had to be a little bit more creative with the fight scenes because he had to fight but not kill. So it was really cool to see him just go all out, and when he got frustrated, you really felt that ferocity, and it was really cool. And then we had the iconic moment at the end of the season where Sebastian Blood, aka Brother Blood, announces that he's not taking over for mayor, and Moira Queen, Oliver's mom, is then stabbed through the chest after she wins the election with a sword in front of Oliver and Oliver's sister Thea. So yeah, all these characters were great. All the actresses and the characters flowed great. So many great moments and memories, and each season the show got even better. My personal favorite seasons are Season 1, Season 2. I liked parts of Season 3. Season 4 was the worst season, but I have fun with some aspects of it. Season 5, also great. Season 6 had great moments. The beginning of Season 7 was great. The ending, not so great. Season 8 was amazing. I would put Season 1, Season 2, Season 5, and Season 8 on their own tier because they're both such amazing seasons, and I love this whole show. I thought they did a brilliant job with all the characters. I thought it was great. The fight scenes were great. You felt connections to all the characters. The concept of Team Arrow was fun, and they had great stuff, and just the gritty tone and just everything that they did with Arrow, I think, was truly wonderful and amazing, and I loved it. So, and Arrow is my favorite show. If you guys did not know, if you want to know my favorite show of all time, Arrow is my favorite show. So just so you guys know. So that's what I'll say on Arrow in terms of that. Let's talk about the villains. So, if I had to rank my villains, Deathstroke and Prometheus are two of the best villains. So I would say, in terms of order, Prometheus was definitely the best villain. Season 5 brought him to he was so intimidating to Oliver, like, the guy from the electric company and now being a lawyer on She-Hulk, you never would have saw this man being so terrifying. And the way he said, "Hello, Oliver," like, it made him sound so, he had like a jokerness to him. Like he could fight you in a match, like you could fight him in hand-to-hand combat, but he was also scary, like, insane in the brain. And like he wanted Oliver to kill him because of what happened with his dad. He was truly a threat, and it was super cool. I love Prometheus. I thought that Adrian Chase, played by Josh Segarra, was brilliant. Manu Bennett played a great Slade, and because we're talking about Slade, I gotta do my my Slade Wilson. When you get to the episode of Slade telling Oliver when he's got his hands cuffed to the table, and he's like, "You gotta stop this, Slade. I don't know what your act is, but they're calling you Deathstroke. It's a little flamboyant. I like it." Like all his lines are so good as Slade. This dude crushed it. Even though he has Slade on Titans, which is pretty good, this Slade he absolutely crushed it. And you just felt that he was an intimidating threat. His presence was so intimidating. He just gave such an amazing feel to everything. And I just loved seeing that. I thought that was so cool. I thought it was awesome to have that feeling. And I really dug it. So he's on the list. Then you got Merlin. Merlin was pretty cool. Merlin kind of was anti-hero. He started as a villain, then he became a good guy. Then he was kind of still a villain, but he's a good guy. Their version of Captain Boomerang was pretty interesting, but he gets an honorable mention, nothing crazy. Emiko Queen, which was Oliver's sister, his other sister that he didn't know about, was super interesting. Not the greatest film, but she was okay. I really liked Ricardo Diaz because he just had this energy similar to Prometheus. He was a street thug, kind of like Kingpin, and kind of felt like the Kingpin of the show. And Oliver had such beef with him, and they had such a great rivalry. So yeah, Arrow had some great villains. The only thing, like I said, I had mixed feelings with Season 6. The beginning of Season 6 was rough for me because the Caden James character was just, he was rough. There wasn't too much about him, and I didn't like the idea of a technology-based villain being on Arrow because Arrow fights people that he can fight in hand-to-hand combat. He doesn't need to have a computer virus threat. But the actor they picked for him was pretty cool. And so yeah, you got Slade. Slade was cool. He wasn't just a villain. He also had a great bond with Oliver. Oliver's apprentices like Diggle and, of course, Roy Harper, a.k.a. Arsenal, were great. It was kind of had that Batman dynamic, kind of had a little bit of Titans with this team. All the Black Canaries worked well in the show. New characters like Wild Dogs were pretty fun to be around. Curtis was great. And the team-up fight scenes, like Oliver's training sessions, was always something I looked forward to. He was an actual... As someone who's become a martial artist today, he is literally the reason I started getting in such good physical shape, because watching his workouts were so intense and so good, and it made me want to be that way, and I feel so happy just being at that state, and it was so cool. And I just have so many memories that are so great with this show, and I want everyone to know that I truly will miss Arrow with all my heart. I loved every moment of it. I'm actually about to rewatch it today. I'm going to rewatch from the beginning, because my fiance's never seen it, and I can't wait to absolutely watch it, because I just love this show. There was characters that died in this show that I was crying. I've never watched a show where I was, like, people thought, like, you guys are all like, oh, you know, in Spider-Man, no, not Spider-Man, in Infinity War, people cried over Peter dying because of his acting performance. If you guys would have seen Stephen Amell's face in the scenes where he's losing his loved ones, this man is such a talented actor, and he carried this entire show, and it was so brilliant. And I hope we get to see one more appearance from Stephen in The Flash's final season, because the future of the Arrowverse is very important. I want to see it preserved. All right, let's get on to the next show. It's time to talk about The Flash. The Flash is another show that I really like. It's quite good. And when they first announced Grant Gustin as The Flash, there was some backlash. Like, the kid from Glee, and it's The Flash. People were worried about the CGI. They were worried, like, how does this work on the CW? Because the thing about Arrow was, people forget, because when Arrow came out, Daredevil hadn't happened yet, so Arrow had the best fight choreography, but it was a grounded show. So, you know, budget-wise, it was a great show, but they didn't really have too many problems with, like, on a special effects standpoint. But Flash was great. Grant Gustin turned out to be the best damn actor to be Flash, and he's up there with Steven. You got to put him exactly with what happened with, you got to put him up there with the Avengers actors, because he's also just the GOAT of his character, and I thought they did such a great job with him. All the way to Season 9 now, he's been a favorite of mine, and we're heading into Season 9 now, and I can't wait to see how his story wraps up. Because Arrow had such a perfect ending. That's the one thing I'll say to Arrow. One last thing on Arrow is, if you guys haven't finished Arrow, Arrow has the best ending of any TV show I've ever seen. It's a brilliant ending. You cry, you laugh, you feel. It's such a great conclusion to an amazing show. And I loved it. And so then you have, of course, you got to talk about, but back to The Flash. So The Flash had great villains like Reverse Flash and Zoom, and they were great standouts, and there were a couple others like Bloodwork, which were pretty cool. I hope he comes back. And they had the Rival, and you had Kid Flash, and, you know, the whole speedster concept. They did things so well. Some fight scenes were very well done with the CGI, others were a bit iffy. But for the most part, the heart of the show, Arrow was a dark and gritty show. This was a lighthearted, fun show about speedsters running through the city, and you had reporters and dealing with all these cool things. And so now let's talk about, we talked a little bit about the villains. Let's talk about the show in general and the seasons. Season 1 will forever be one of my favorite seasons. It had the Reverse Flash as a main villain. It had so many great memories. It had just, everything about it felt special, and it was so cool. Season 2 introduced Zoom, who was absolutely terrifying, perfect for Halloween, and such a perfect show. They had such great moments. How they built the relationship between Iris and Barry was super good, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm going to say Season 1 and 2 are up there. Then I'm going to put Season, not 5, not 4. Then Season 6. Season 6 was great. Barry got the best suit he's ever gotten, and then you got to see that you got to hear them play Flash Gordon in a fight scene. Cisco's a great character on the show. I love Cisco. I think they've done such a great job with his character. I hope he comes back for the final season. I thought that was so cool. Caitlin's great. The whole Killer Frost thing was great. All these great characters. So then next up, so it's season 6. Then it's going to be season 6, then season 3, season 4, and then I would say season 7. Season 7 had great moments, and I enjoyed the storylines, but there was also some iffy things too. But season 7 was bad. So season 8 is different, but season 7 I would definitely put in the worst place. Then I would put season 5 because that was the second worst season, and then the whole like stupid Forces storyline was awful. I just didn't like it. And then I would put 8 up with the main seasons because 8 was just really good. I think season 1, season 2, season 1, season 2, season 6, season 8, and then everything else because it was a really good show. But those seasons were just kind of rocky. But I enjoyed the story. I thought they did great. I think season 9 will be great. I'm looking forward to seeing what the Flash brings for its final season. I think it's going to be really cool. So moving on, DC's Legends of Tomorrow. DC's Legends of Tomorrow, when I first started the show, season 1 was a bit rocky, but I really enjoyed the characters. I thought Mick Rory was great. I thought what they did with Sarah Lance was great, and especially because she had started from Arrow. Ray Palmer was great, how they brought all these characters together and blinded them together. Unfortunately, I fell off of Legends before it ended. I watched up to season 7, and I was enjoying it. No, I watched all the way up to season 6, and I didn't get to see season 7 because I wasn't caught up. And I just kind of lost interest, unfortunately. But season 2 was God tier season. They had Neil McDonough as Damien Dark, they had Reverse Flash, and they had Malcolm Merlin all team up to go up against the Legends. And it was epic. There was epic battles. Traveling through time was so fun. This show had such a fun feel. I wish I wouldn't have fallen out of love with it, but it was a fun show for the most part. And I did enjoy it. But the Arrowverse has been such a tremendous part of my life, so I wanted to be able to give this full video the length that it deserves. We're just going to keep going and talking about this shows because it means so much to me. And I truly love each and one of these shows. Even if I have issues with certain seasons, I enjoy each of them for what they were, and they helped me through some very rough times. All right, next up, let's talk about Batwoman. Batwoman, Season 1. I liked it at first until I heard about Ruby Rose being a complete, to quote Trevor, she was being a cunt, and I don't care not to say it because it was true, and she deserves to hear those words after what she did. But moving on, I enjoyed Season 1 for what it was. I hated Season 2. They introduced a new character I was super intrigued by, but then they made the storyline centered around, we need to find the new Kate Kane, and they brought in a talented actress to play her, but they did nothing with it because it was just, now it's back to the Kate Kane show. We can't move on with a new character. So that was rough. But then Season 3, we finally get to see Jovicia Leslie, who's an amazing Batwoman, the best Batwoman on the show. We had to see a Poison Ivy storyline. They set up their own version of the Joker, which was so cool. I love Batwoman Season 1 and Season 3. They both were good seasons. I enjoyed them. Season 2 was a bust. Parts of Season 1 are weak, but I enjoyed aspects of it. Especially Rachel Tiskalian, who plays Alice. Their version of Alice in Wonder Woman was twisted and interesting. The fight choreography was pretty good. I enjoyed the show. All right. Next up, let's talk about Supergirl. Supergirl started on CBS, but then was converted to a CW show. Season 1 of Supergirl, we're not going to really count because it was a CBS show, but it was a pretty decent start to this show. And this, similar to She-Hulk, it kind of has a cringy background because it's about women. But the show was good. I don't care what anyone else says. Supergirl is a good show, and anybody who says it isn't didn't watch it. Because that was a very enjoyable show. I'm actually going to, instead of just watching Arrow, I'm going to rewatch all these shows after making this video because I just feel so compelled to relive my journey because it just is so amazing. But yeah, so Season 1, pretty good start to the show. Season 2 was pretty bad. Probably one of the worst seasons of the show. Season 3 was amazing. They had one of the best villains. Rain was great. Season 4 was pretty good. What was it? I think Season 5 was the last season. Did it get to Season 5 or was it Season 6? Yeah. I think they got to Season I think season 5 was the last season. So when they brought in their version of Lex Luthor, played by John Cryer, he was great. One of my favorite villains of the show. I loved how they used the Martian Manhunter character. I thought Brainy was good on the show. All the characters were great. I really loved them. Mon-El was pretty good. It was a great show. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see the final season, which I think was season 6. But when I go and watch these shows, I'm going to finish that season and give a review for season 6, because I did not get to watch it. But I will. That's my thoughts on Supergirl. Let's get into the final show that we got to discuss. Let's talk about Black Lightning. Black Lightning was a show that came out of nowhere. We thought Oliver was the OG vigilante in the family, but Black Lightning had been on the streets for a long time. And Black Lightning is from the perspective of, Harlem, which is not Harlem, that's Luke Cage, sorry. We're in Freeland, and, it's a show with an almost near entire black African people cast, and Cress Williams brought so much to the role. I need to see Cress Williams return for the final season of The Flash to interact with Grant Gustin, because they were Lightning bros. Black Lightning and Flash were so cool together. They had such a good bond. I'd like to see him interact with Oliver. I'd like to see him for the final season of The Flash. They just need to make The Flash a Arrowverse welcome ending party farewell, because after The Flash, we don't know if there'll be another Arrowverse show. So they need to do everything they can to end the show as a highlight reels of all the great moments of the Arrowverse. But Black Lightning was a dark show similar to Arrow, had great bonds. It dealt with lesbian characters. It dealt with shady business. It connected to Young Justice. It had badass fight scenes with great music in the middle of them. I love how they did Black Lightning. Also, one of the best things about this show is it had some of the best acting and emotional moments, and also felt real. When they did real topics in the show, you felt compelled by the things that were going on, and the characters were great. Painkiller was such a great character. They had like a Winter Soldier vibe with him having 2 different personalities, and then they just killed him. Not killed him. They killed his show, which I loved the backdoor pilot. I think he still needs his show. HBO Max, if you're listening, pick up the Painkiller show, please. It'd be amazing. But yeah, guys, final thoughts on the Arrowverse. I love it. I can't wait to see this final season of The Flash. I've had the time of my life with these shows, and I love the Arrowverse very dearly. And for me, I know it's a controversial pick. I love the Arrowverse more than I love the MCU. And I know people will probably not understand that, but Oliver Queen is my Tony Stark. And I love Tony. I love Marvel. I think everything Marvel's done is great. But as a kid, I had a much bigger connection to DC. So this universe was a dream come true for me. And I'm going to miss it when it ends. But I can't wait to celebrate this with all the fans. And I want to see how this all ends. Let me know if you guys want me to do more reviews on Arrowverse shows. Like, when I'm rewatching these, do you want me to review all the shows? Let me know in the comments below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Oops, I took off my mask without the video.